Welcome to the Fierce Life Podcast, powered by Fierce Firearms, home of the lightest, most deadly accurate rifles ever.
Hey, Fierce Nation, we are recording live from here in Redmond, Utah, Fierce Firearms headquarters in Resina, USA. I'm John Mogul, and with me we have Matt Mogul and one of the newest members to our Fierce team, Paul Cook. He's from up in Utah County, Utah, and crazy guy, drives down an hour and a half a day, but he's got his camp trailer out back now. He's figured that out. He's camping here at Fierce Nation, so he doesn't have such a long commute. But Paul's here with us, and Paul's kind of going to do a little narration role for us. He's been, since he is new, he's been asking a lot of questions about the history of Fierce Firearms, how it came about, and those different things. So welcome, guys. This is kind of a little inaugural podcast.
Number one. I like this.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
It's a good thing for us to have, because I think there's a lot that we're able to talk about.
Yeah.
Especially with John. John's been in the industry for how long now?
Since 1997. And so, a long time. So we want to talk a little bit about that history, how we got the start, but also the purpose of this podcast is to bring Fierce Nation up to speed with what we're doing, talk about long-range shooting, talk about what's going on here with new products.
A little bit of education.
It's a good opportunity. I mean, we get a lot of questions from our customers, our loyal customers anyway, so this will be a great opportunity for us to answer those.
Absolutely.
Have you answer those as well.
And that's one thing, too. We'll, as we get going with this thing, we'll want our customers to, talk to us on social media, tell us what you're interested in hearing about, and just start rocking and rolling with this thing.
Yeah, I agree. I know when I came aboard, it's been 4 or 5 months now.
Yep.
And I have a lot of the same questions everybody else out there does. Is I've been in the industry for quite some time, and I've known of you, for a long time, but I knew of you back in the Christensen Arm days. And we get that question a lot. I do when I'm talking to people quite a bit. Well, is there a relationship there? Is it the same John Mogul? Yeah. Maybe you can touch upon that.
Yeah, and we still get a lot of that. I still get a lot of that on a weekly basis. Guys will call over and say, "Hey, I bought a gun from you, 10 years ago at your previous engagement, and want one of your new guns." And so yeah, we all hear that often. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But I went to college here in Utah, to Utah State University, and, I was actually looking to be a CPA, believe it or not. I got my accounting, had some guy tell me, you want to be an accountant, it's the safest, profession, you'll always make a good living. So I got my accounting degree, and then I went and did an internship with, back in the day, it was a Big Five accounting firm called Ernst & Young in downtown Salt Lake, and went out and did auditing. And how do you think that went? Stuck me in a room with a bunch of books, and I'm a sales guy. I got my, got through college selling treadmills for Proform. So I love selling and people, and realized, accounting wasn't what I wanted to do. So I was planning on getting my accounting master's degree, and said, man, I'm going to switch, get my MBA, and move on. And it was in about 1997, Roland Christensen from Christian Arms called me when I was just getting done with school and said, "Hey, you want to come and work for me?" And so that's where I was like, loved hunting, hunted with his son quite a bit growing up, and my older brother, his son Troy. And so, I hunted a lot, did a lot of archery hunting, and so we had that connection there. And then Christensen Arms at that time was in St. George, Utah. So he said, "You want to go down there?" And there was only, when I went down there in 1997, there was 2 employees at the time. And so I was doing everything. I was doing sales, accounting, marketing. We had one guy out in the shop building guns, and the other guy working there was ill at the time, and so we didn't see him much. So, really kind of going from scratch, to be honest. I was out there helping on guns when I needed to be, and got that rocking and rolling, and was there for 16, 17 years. We moved it up to Gunnison, Utah, and then, it was when we got Matt on board. Matt, when did you come on board?
Oh, it was 2.5 years before we left there.
And so,
been there,
so Matt's expertise is in art and graphic design, and so he came on board to help us with we had a magazine at the time called Hunting Illustrated, and you were pretty much doing most of the artwork for that.
Yeah, the company we were working for at the time owned the magazine, and I was putting that together all by myself, cover to cover, 5 times a year, 100 pages per issue, and
so that was
John and I doing all of that, a magazine by ourselves.
I had a subscription to that magazine.
You remember that magazine?
Most everybody did, right?
It was an awesome magazine. Yeah, we got it from Kings, and was a fantastic magazine. So we got when I was at Christian Arms, we had an opportunity to get that magazine from Kings, and we brought it over to go along with our TV show we were doing at the time, and so Matt was doing all the artwork. I was doing most of the content and bringing in all the stories, and we realized the magazine business was a hard job real fast. I left Christian Arms in 2012. People always ask why. Well, it was just a, conflict of interest. Some different management came in, and I knew it wasn't going to work out, and made plans to leave. And
well, how long were you there at Christian Arms?
I was there for 15, 16 years.
So you left running the company?
Yeah. So basically, when I started, there was 2 employees. When I left, there was 40-some, and it was just had a parting of ways. Sure. And, that happens. And you decided I wanted to do my own thing. And so at the time, luckily for 401ks, I really feel like kind of living the American dream. I cashed out my 401k. I had not a lot of money in it. I think it was like 90 grand. The time I cashed it out, it seemed like there was maybe 65. And me and Matt took that money, and we had the magazine, and we started the magazine and started rolling. We really didn't have anything. And then, I had talked to Rosini from over there in Italy and got that distribution for the shotguns, but it didn't come on till later on that year. So we had those things in place, and then I love hunting. I love the outdoors. I love rifles. And so I was like, there's no way I can't keep building guns and a firearm company. So we named it Fierce, which is a story in and of itself, and started rocking from there.
We were doing what a lot of people were doing at the time, which was just building custom guns. And that's how we started. We had the magazine, and then we were building these custom rifles. But John, with his connections and everything, we were able to take off and survive that way. It worked.
Well, with all your not connections necessarily, but your knowledge since Christian Arms brought you to Fierce Firearms. Now, how did you meet your partner then?
It's kind of interesting story. Maybe before we even get into that, just when we started building guns, the custom gun industry it's growing every year, and when you go to these trade shows, you go to the Sheep Show, the Safari Club show, you see new gun companies every year. And a lot of these guys, hey, hats off to them for trying to do their own thing. But, a lot of these guys just buy components, put them together, put their name on it, and, try and sell it for a $4, $5, $6, $7, and a lot of them are $6,000 to $8,000 rifle. And so it's funny, when me and Matt left, we were doing the same thing. We were buying all the parts and components and putting them together, and we're building custom guns that way. And it got so busy that I even was shipping parts to a gunsmith up in Wyoming that was putting guns together for us, and would send them back, and we'd shoot them and test fire them and scope them up, and it was kind of crazy. But what we realized is we started growing pretty quick. Is man, we can't rely on vendors. It was killing us, barrel manufacturers waiting for these barrels to come in, waiting for the actions to come in. And then we were using Macmillan stocks, and they were taking a long time to get in. Just the turnaround on components was taking so long, and they cost a ton of money. Sure. I mean, the time you put those guns together, just material cost, you were over a couple grand. That's why I give that Fury challenge on YouTube. It's like, look at this gun. Look at the components of this gun. You can't even buy the components of this gun, and we're selling this Fury rifle for $2,000. You can't even buy the components for that if you're trying to put together a custom rifle. So it was kind of crazy how we first got going and had gunsmiths kind of all over the place building guns for us. And
I think when you say both of you are saying custom guns, I think there's a lot of individuals out there still realizing, or they think when they hear custom guns, they don't realize there's a lot of parts. Just some of these manufacturers just throwing parts together and calling it custom.
And I don't think people realize how many custom gun makers there are as well.
And when you go into, and my thought, my whole theory behind this was, look, we've got to give the customer a custom type gun at not a crazy price. I mean, $6,000 to $8,000 is just stupid to me. And there was a lot of them out there, and there are a lot are still are today. And you know, hats off to them for doing what they're doing. But I wanted to give the customer the best value for what they're getting. And I think still today, people don't realize what is in a Fierce rifle. They really don't, because I think they see the price point and they think, oh, it's just kind of a factory grade type rifle. But heck, you know, Paul, what all the custom stuff in our gun? What is there that the $6,000 to $8,000 rifles have that our gun doesn't?
That's
nothing. They have nothing.
Give us one.
I'm trying to think.
Nothing, Paul.
And that's what I love talking about is to everyone I've talked to on the phones or the trade shows is, hey, what trigger is that? It's ours. Yep. What stock is that? It's ours.
Yep.
It's our carbon barrels.
Yep.
It's ours, everything for that price. And so that's, I think, what everybody's asking. Well, what is custom? Yeah. What does custom really mean with Fierce Firearms?
Yeah. And so, you know, my goal was to give the customer the best bang for their buck, and that's what Fierce is. I mean, and how we were able to achieve that, you said, you know, well, how'd you meet your partner? So me and Matt were at our first SHOT Show in Las Vegas. Still remember our booth. It was a rickety old sucker. I don't know how we pieced that thing together.
You couldn't have been able to find us anywhere there.
Yeah, and people did find us, though. It was amazing. So we had a 10x10 booth. We had both Rosini shotguns in it, and we only had like 3 or 4 rifles, and you know, just grinding away, selling guns. Both Fierce and Rosinis were selling quite well, and this tall feller walked into the booth, and I don't think he had his wife with him that day, but he was by himself, and he's like, you know, had that French, Canadian, English accent, and his name was Hughes Valancourt. Walked in the booth and said, hey, you know, I think you knew who I was. Hey, I know who you are. I see what you're doing. I want to build guns for you. And I was like, you know, because when I left Christensen Arms, knew a lot of guys, and I got a lot of offers for people to come in and partner, but it's like, you know, I saw right off the bat, I didn't need money. I needed guns. I needed the best. I needed to become a manufacturer. And Hughes is like, I'll build your guns, and told me a little bit about what he does up in Canada and his big machine shop, and how he used to build parts used to make the Winchester action. I mean, this guy and his dad have been in the gun business for years. So all of a sudden my light bulbs were going off in my head, man, maybe, you know, so I kind of blew him off a little bit. Then he came back the next day, didn't he, Matt?
Yep, with his wife that time.
So then he came back the next day with his wife, and I'm like, man, this guy's serious. And so, you know, we'd been going for a couple years already. And so I was like, well, shoot, let's hear what he's got to say. So I talked to him some more. And he's like, hey, I want to fly out and talk to you. And let's talk about this. And a couple weeks later, he flew to Utah, and I was like, this guy's serious. So I was just thinking, well, if he can build our own action, how I've always wanted, a 3-lug action, you know, carbon stock wouldn't be that big a deal. We had that knowledge and know-how. Carbon barrels, not that big a deal. And so at the time we were using proof barrels and buying Macmillan stocks and buying, I think, what action do we use? Pierce. Not Fierce, but Pierce with a P, out of Michigan. We were using their actions and, you know, throwing in Timney triggers. And it's like, man, if we can make this whole gun like you claim we can do through your machine shop and your technology up there, I said, let's put my know-how on kind of the gun I want, and let's do it. And by gosh, he did it. We talked to him, and we formed a partnership, and within a year, that took about 8 months, we had our first gun.
Yeah, Courtney and I were up at Todd Rollick's in Canada when we first saw the prototype.
Unveiled the first Fierce, that's right. We were up there whitetail hunting.
Got to go out on a shooting bench and try it out, and even that first prototype was shooting dead nuts.
Yeah, and so we build, you know, through his shop up there, we build the action, the trigger. It's our stock. We went up and got a carbon shop going. Took the know-how up to do the stocks. Carbon barrels, no big deal. We're doing the carbon barrels, but we improve the process and feel like we have the best carbon barrel on the market. And that's one thing I've always strived for, was just perfection in these guns. And when I shot the proof barrels, when we were building our own, me and Matt used to always be amazed. We're like, holy crap, look how good these carbon barrels shoot. And then when we started doing our own barrels, we were matching that, if not better, on the accuracy with carbon barrels. And our steel barrels shoot lights out too. So we had the gun, and there's kinks. There's kinks. Anytime you come out with, you're building an entire gun, think of that, an entire gun. And at my previous employer, we used at Christensen, we were building the Remington. We were building the guns off of Remington Action. We did that for 15 years, and the reason was we just didn't have. They've got great. I'm sure they've got great engineers there now, but at the time we just didn't have the know-how to do our own action and build the products like we wanted them. And so we were, at that time, back at Christensen, we were building, and a lot of listeners know that because they probably have those guns, the Remington 700s with a carbon barrel, and that we didn't build our own stock there for years later, but. So it was quite a feat to build everything.
It's amazing.
And we got the product how we wanted. I think for a year and a half we had quite a few issues, but we kept improving and kept having new revisions, and the gun today is absolutely beautiful.
And how long has Fierce been?
So me and Matt started Fierce in 2012. I think in 2014 we formed a new partnership with Hughes, where we were manufacturing everything, and we were able to hit that price point I always wanted the gun to be at, and it just took off, and it's still just rocking and rolling today. I think the customers are getting it; they're seeing the value. When you can, our rifles start out around $2,200 in the steel barrel
for a
version.
Custom rifle,
custom triggers, our own custom carbon stocks, our own custom carbon barrel. We're using a match grade truly hand lapped stainless steel barrel. We build our own trigger in the Edge models that we have out now, and we just come out with the Rival, which we'll talk about in another episode. But it's using a custom aftermarket trigger, just phenomenal. A true custom rifle that you compare to the $6,000 to $8,000 rifles, and I'm telling you, they're not going to shoot any better, and you're not going to have any better features or components, or especially precision built into the gun. I guarantee it. You're not. And that's why we give that half-inch group guarantee. I feel like we've set the benchmark for the entire industry, and everyone else is chasing. We give a half-inch group guarantee, and we stand behind it. If your gun doesn't shoot it, we'll give you a new one, or we'll take care of it for you. And that is a phenomenal guarantee. A lot of these other custom gun manufacturers give a 1-inch MOA guarantee. And my sales pitch to the customer, you know what, Paul? Who else has a 1-inch MOA guarantee?
Anybody can go on.
Howa. Weatherby Vanguards, $600 rifles have a 1-inch MOA guarantee. So what's so special about that? And that's always been my sales pitch. Okay, 1 inch.
Well, the other thing is, this is a half-inch MOA at 100 yards.
Right.
I know other competitors out there, doing that, but it's a 40-yard target.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So 100 yards.
There's definitely some deception. You got to know how far your targets are being shot. And what were you going to say, Matt?
Well, we're providing the evidence.
Exactly.
You get the target. You get the target that shows with factory ammo most of the time.
In the Edge models, we certify it. All of them come with a guarantee, but the Edges, they're a little more money because we send you a certified target, and 90% of the time it's with factory ammo.
And just getting back to that, that's when we knew we arrived. We had the gun now. It was awesome. The gun performed well, and it did. It lived up to the $6,000 or $8,000 guns that were in that price range. And we were there too with the price point that we wanted, and that's what we'd worked to have. And so now we had the gun. That's when we knew we arrived. And with what we were seeing it do on the market, we knew we were in for something good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. So that's kind of the history, how we got going, and there's tons of backstories and different things, but that's kind of how Fierce got rolling, and that's.
It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And here's
the other thing. I started in my basement of my house. I still remember, how crazy is this? I still got one of the scars to resemble that because I had the Rosinis in my basement, and we were shipping rifles out of my basement, and I'd make shipping boxes down on my really nice pool table. Well, I've got a big old utility knife scratching the felt all the way across my pool table, so that's always there to remind me. But started in my basement, then we had a little shop down on Main Street in Gunnison where we had 15 employees. We still scratch our head today when we go over there because
I don't know how you guys fit in there.
Yeah.
I've been over there numerous times.
When I drive by, I don't know how we're all fitting in there. It's crazy because it was a small spot, but when we started there, it felt big. I still remember when we started there, it felt big then.
Yeah.
We outgrew it so fast.
Yeah. So that's how we got going. I feel like it really is, it's America, man. You can start and do whatever you want if you have the determination. And I'll tell you, I worked my guts out. I was working from 6 a.m. till 10 at night. And in those first few months of starting, anyone that started their own business, I didn't sleep. I was so stressed out, I didn't sleep. I mean, we had some legal things going on. Mm-hmm. The Christian boys didn't want us doing business and being competitors, so we had some lawsuits pending that we had to fight and won, and we were fighting all kinds of demons and battles. And I'll tell you, I didn't sleep. I lost a ton of weight, and it was stressful. But here we are today. Yeah, and I'll tell you a quick story about Fierce and the name.
Yeah,
I know you were asking that earlier. The last SHOT Show I went to when I was working with Christian Arms, I knew I was leaving. I was making plans to leave, and my wife was down there at the show, and she's like, "Man, what we got to get a new name for the new company." And we're driving home from Las Vegas, and 4.5 hour drive, and she's just throwing names off, just bouncing names off each other, and we're big Trump fans. We love Trump. Sorry for the Democrats listening, but we love Trump, and. We watched The Apprentice back then. He wasn't president, this back in 2012, and there was a really hot chick on there. I can't remember her name, Aubrey or something. Do you guys remember that show?
Oh yeah, I watched it religiously.
Anyhow, there was a redhead, real attractive lady on the show, I think named Aubrey, and she was always saying fierce. Everything was so fierce to her. She was always dropping the word fierce. My wife's like, "Oh, what about fierce firearms?" And I'm like, holy crap, that sounds so cool. I'm like, yes, there it is. So, that's how the name come up, because people ask where that name come from. Some people hate it. Well, I think a lot of people love it. I love it. And that's
you asked me about it the next day, and I freaking loved it too. You're like, "Hey, Fawn, tell Kim up with this name. What do you think of it?" Fierce Firearms. I thought, dude, that's awesome. That's solid.
And so that's where the name come from, and off and rolling. So a little bit of Trumpism in the name of Fierce from the old from watching the old Apprentice. So that's the history. I don't know what other questions you got, Paul, but that's how Fierce came about, and here we are today. We're in a new building here in Redmond, Utah. Over 10,000 square feet. We have a shooting range out the back for a mile that our customers, that's the great thing. Yep. We have a lot of foot traffic. Guys come in here, they check out the rifles, they pick up a rifle. If they have time, we'll let them go shoot a gun out the back here. They can feel the rifle. We shoot them out to 1,000 yards. Guys leave with a smile on their face, just in awe. And that's what we have at this facility. So it's fantastic. And then this is where we do our long-range shooting schools, which is taken off. That thing's exploding.
I was going to ask you, let's talk about the long-range shooting schools and how that's working.
Yeah, so that's probably a whole nother new podcast where we get in detail. But, man, the long-range shooting stuff, we tried it. It started out when I was helping volunteer for a Wounded Warrior deal. Back in the Christian Arms days again, I was helping some Wounded Warrior guys out. They did a pheasant hunt for a bunch of Wounded Warriors at a big hunting lodge over in Emery County, and they asked if we'd come over and help. So I'd go over and take the Wounded Warriors out hunting pheasants, and then they wanted me to teach these guys how to shoot long range with a bolt rifle, because most of them had just shot ARs in the military, and so we'd shoot with the bolt rifles, and they loved that, shooting out to 500 to 1,000 yards. So I'd go over and volunteer my time and take the Christian Arms rifles over and do that. And then, when I left, I just assumed they were going to continue to do that. And then the guy over it called and said, "Hey, we like the relationship. You want to bring your new guns over from Fierce and keep doing it." So I went over and started doing that. And then so we kind of along with Castle Valley Outdoors, we started doing more and more long-range shooting over there. And I was like, man, I got to teach some schools over here. They have such an awesome facility. And so started doing schools over there. It was a blast, but it was a couple-hour drive away from home. And we're like, yeah, we got the new facility. Let's do it here. And it's so much more convenient for us to do it here. Yeah. And because we have gunsmiths on site. If a customer has a issue with the rifle, which they always do, when you get 10 to 12 guys in here, something's going to go wrong when you put 100 rounds through a gun in a couple of days. So we got gunsmiths on site, fix stuff, adjust stuff, tweak stuff. So it's beautiful. It's perfect. And that's guys leave with a smile on their face from the shooting schools, and they usually leave with an extra gun or two. And so it's perfect.
It's nice, especially with the half-inch MOA guarantee. I don't think people realize out there how difficult that really is. Just because the guns do it doesn't mean.
And that's why not everyone will do that.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, to guarantee a gun to shoot that well, you got to put a lot more time, a lot more effort. We could give a 1-inch MOA guarantee, and I'll tell you, we can get guns out of here a lot quicker and not have to, put as much precision and quality into it. But that's not what we want. That half-inch it really is. It's something.
I love how Fierce Firearms has evolved into just more than just guns. I mean, I know you're doing a TV show now.
Yeah, good question. We haven't talked much about the TV show.
Because I get a lot of that, and I love it. I watched that before. Oh, yeah.
That's
about the Fierce Life.
One thing we've not quit doing. And
you've been on TV for how long? I think the longest out there.
A lot of people don't know this, but I've been doing a TV show since 2001. Going on next year will be 20 years if you want to do an anniversary. That's how I started the Christian Arms show and did that. And then when we left Christian Arms, all the sponsors were like, hey, you still going to do your show? And I'm like, well, don't you want to go with Christian Arms doing a show? Don't you want to go do it with them? They're like, we're coming with you. Let's go do the show. And
awesome.
So we're like, well, honestly, we weren't going to do the show. But our sponsor said, hey, you need to keep doing the show. And we had some challenges with some other underlying things that were going on at the time. But we got enough encouragement and support. It actually really shocked me. And
there wasn't a lot of people doing it back then, right?
TV shows? No, I'm just... I mean, not like today, no. But I was just surprised at the support we got from the industry people that said you need to keep doing your show. It's great. We'll support you. We'll keep sponsoring. And so I'm like, Matt, we're going to keep doing the show. So we changed the name to Hunting Illustrated. And people out there are probably wondering where the magazine is. We killed the magazine, about 2-3 years ago? 3 years ago. Yep. Everyone knows the print business. The print business is going away. For those guys that are still out there doing it, hats off to you. But it was harder and harder every year to keep subscribers, and the amount of effort it took to do a magazine and make money off it. I mean, it wasn't worth it for us. So we just said, let's pull the plug on this and just do the TV show and guns and stuff that we can, use Matt's skills from the marketing and whatnot and focus on catalogs for the new guns and websites and stuff like that, digital.
Yeah, the magazine was valuable to us at first, and then as time went on, where it still was just John and I doing the workload for that magazine, it was taking a lot of my time, and we're starting to see more value for the work and for the effort, my time in the guns, because really we were growing quickly, and we saw that. And so that's kind of, and again, like I said, you can go to the newsstand, pick up the big dogs that have been around forever and look at what they're doing with their paper and everything now. Everyone in the print industry is hurting, so I felt like we got out at a decent time, just because it allowed us to really focus our time and energy completely on the guns. It almost kind of became a distraction, but it was a necessary tool for us at first.
Sure. Absolutely. It was a key component in getting us where we are today. And
you're on even on the TV show now. You're on season 8.
So we changed the name of the TV show to The Fierce Life, and it's awesome. I love the name. We've got a fantastic editor. I mean, it's funny. You think, oh man, this TV show takes a lot of effort, and it does. It takes a ton of effort, but man, the feedback we get from customers, I just had a guy telling me 2 days ago that one guy that came in, hey, the two favorite TV shows are Shockey and yours, and when you hear that, it's like, man, I guess we're doing something right, because sometimes you think, crap, I don't know if this TV show's worth the effort. I don't know if people like it. We don't hear a lot of feedback, but when you do, it's like when people put you in that category, it's like, man, we are doing something right.
I think it's kind of become part of the brand.
Oh, absolutely.
Really,
yeah.
the TV show has. It's a great vehicle for us for advertising and marketing the guns, but then also I think it gives you a feel for our personalities and who we are, and really kind of what the company is about.
Oh, I love the TV
that's
show.
What I always talk about here, and we feel like family here. John's effective at running a lean company, and that's how our business is always able to grow. And so a lot of us wear several hats, that, but no one's complaining about how much work we have to do because we feel like family. We're all here to support each other, and
do I make you guys work too hard?
No.
but when we work hard, we love to work hard. I'm just saying it's.
I haven't seen my family in 4 months. No.
But with that, I mean, with the TV show, you get a feel for us,
I love how real it is.
What we're about.
That's real. We try not to stage too much. We try and keep it real and show who we are, which sometimes is good, sometimes it's bad.
Yeah.
But one thing we haven't talked about, the podcast might be going on way too long, but we can't not talk about Rizzini.
Yeah,
Rizzini, I'm not here today. We're not here today either because of, we're here because of Rizzini as well. That first year in business in 2012, I kind of had some connections there and went and talked to the Rizzini folks, and they gave me the USA and Canada distributorship for all of Rizzini, and it's a fantastic company. Their factory is in Italy. It's right next to the Beretta factory over there in that same little Brescia area. And man, they just made a fantastic gun. And I had some European customers at the time that were buying Christensen guns and were telling me, always showing me Rizzini shotguns when I went over there, saying this is the best shotgun and for your value and for what you get. And so I went and talked to them.
Describe them a little bit better, like the shotguns.
Well, the Rizzini is an over-under, side-by-side Italian shotgun. They also make double guns. I got them to make a 470 Nitro, dangerous game guns, double guns. It's something I always wanted. They made it for us.
Shooting that somewhere.
And a matter of fact, I'm supposed to be going to shoot an elephant here in 2 weeks, but because of this beautiful coronavirus, that is not happening. So my elephant hunt has been postponed. I was going to shoot it with a Rizzini 470 double, but so they make shotguns. Is out there? That's their specialty, and some double over under side by side, and their price points from $2,000 to $25,000. We make. I feel we have the best shotgun on the market for the money. Same as Fierce. I mean, you can compare a Rizzini to a Beretta, a Browning, and when you look at it and see what it is, it's a better gun for your money, plain and simple. And that's why Rizzini's doing so well. And, we got that rolling in 2012. I remember getting our first shipment of guns. It was like 20. And, man, they sold fast. And I was like, wow, this brand rocks. And people love it. They know what it is. They know the quality. And then we just started getting them in and selling them. And people wonder, well, that's kind of weird that you're doing Fierce and Rizzini. But, we got that in place. And that was actually rolling before the rifles. And I love hunting. Oh, yeah. I'm not just a rifle guy. I grew up hunting pheasants. I grew up hunting ducks and geese. I grew up hunting mule deer and elk with a bow. That was my favorite way to hunt. Honestly, I never went on my first rifle hunt until I was like 17. I always hunted when we could start back then. My first 3-4 years of hunting was just with a bow. And then I discovered a rifle. I was like, holy crap, there's a deer out there at 400 yards. I shot my first buck at 400 yards. I'm like, I'm never going back to a bow. But so we love hunting. And so, shotguns, rifles, AR-15s, the new Sidewinder. We have our own AR-15 that's phenomenal, the F-15 Sidewinder. It's original. It's fantastic. And at Fierce, we're gonna become a complete gun company.
It's kind of encompassing everything right now.
You've got
everything.
Pistols. I mean, we just love to shoot guns, and we love to hunt, and that's who we are. And with that, we want to have in our hands our products. It's just how it's going to be. And we might not get them all, but we're going to try, and we'll do what makes sense for us and our company and our product line, and fits in with our core value and, our mission statement, which is to bring the best, in a nutshell, to bring the best product to our customer at an affordable price. And when I say affordable, I'm not talking about a $300-400 gun. I'm talking about fantastic stuff that
it's an investment. Yeah.
That's worth it.
It's top shelf stuff. It really is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's what we got here. So I don't know what else there is to talk about in episode 1, but we've covered the gamut. That's who we are. That's what we are. Looking forward to future podcasts. Now we're going to start diving into specifics, long range shooting. We've got a lot of experts here. We'll get Ammon involved. He's a phenomenal shooter. He's kind of the head instructor of our long range courses. I help out, and several others here, but just a lot of different things, how the rifle evolved, our different stocks, our components. We'll dive into a lot of stuff, but hunting, different areas. So it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. Make sure you stay tuned. We're going to try and put out as many podcasts as we can, but this is the Fierce Nation right here. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next. Well, we won't see you. We're not on TV here, but we'll talk to you next episode.
Really, this is exciting.
Are you excited?
I'm really excited.
Thanks, guys.
Face doesn't look excited. Just kidding.
Thank you for spending your time with the Fierce Nation. For more info on our rifles, products, or events, check out our website, www.fiercearms.com, or send us a message through any of our social media channels.